right, Mama D, okay, for me? You know I love you, right? My throat's a little dry, so I'm trying to speak quick. You know, you see the tears coming in my eye, right? I want to tell you, I love you. I don't know if I don't tell you that enough. I don't know if everyone in this room tells you that enough. But we want you to know that you are loved just as much as you love us, each and every single one of us. You help each and every one of us every day. I have a problem. I walk into the center, first place I go, you already know, in that green chair, same one in the office. Sit down, Mama D, I got another problem. Same thing. Every time you're like, Tiffany, breathe, X, Y, and Z, I'm like, you right. Change my whole day for the rest of the whatever, no matter what the problem is, no matter what is. I want you to know that we all love you. Anybody else? We should go down the line, I feel like. Oh, you guys have
I agree. We should definitely go down the line. It's amazing. Just from you two alone, y'all. Man, let me just another one. Start over here. Mama, let me pick on you now.
Well, I haven't been here very long, but what I've seen from Mama D is that she's very loving, and she loves on every child that comes in the center. She shows leadership, and yeah, I aspire to be like that. She's my inspiration.
Man, I feel like I've been in TWP for the longest. I mean, like, as far as I'm concerned, she motivated me to do a lot better than I am now. As far as I'm concerned, I've been dealing with a lot of family difficulties here and there throughout growing up. And actually, Mama D helped me overcome that. Love you, Mom.
I feel like Mama D treats us like we're her real kids. I really love her for that. Love you, Mama D.
I think Mama D helped me be more confident, so I can be on display. Stop being shy and be open. No cap. So, was anybody not shy when they came to Tina? I feel like everyone's like. I was not. I can't very much. I was like really shy. I was scared.
Hey, one mic. Man, got the mic.
Yeah, like performing wise, I like shy to get on stage, so like she helped me get over my feelings. So thanks, Mama.
Yeah, I mean,
Truthfully.
no, it's real simple. Like, without Mama D and in this organization, I wouldn't have found like what I love to do. I wouldn't have never found it. I'd probably be still like trying to figure it out. So now that I like you helped me figure that out, I owe a lot to you. I love you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
You gotta come with something else.
Ditto. I'm joking. For sure. But been a part of this organization almost half of my life. That's crazy, right? 8 years, and my first time walking in the center, open arms from everyone, but especially Mama D. One thing that I noticed, she never gives up on anything or anyone. You could be the worst teen ever, causing commotions everywhere you go, but Mama D gonna believe in you. She sees some light in you. And that's because you have so much light in yourself that you know other people have light in them. And as many times I want you to kick some of the teens out, you'll never do it. And I'm actually glad that she does that, because she creates a space. We create a space where you can go and be yourself and be loved for being you. And it's not too many places that you can do that. And I thank you for building me up, being a part of my life, making me the man I am today. All of y'all are factors, but you are definitely a big factor. You're Miss Muhammad. Miss Muhammad was a little rough on me, but y'all definitely love me, and I love y'all back for it. So thank you.
Not yet, not yet, not yet,
You
not yet.
gotta wait till the end. You're gonna be the last one.
I'm so excited.
Come on, pass the mic. It's called pass the mic.
Speak from your heart.
You know you got something to say.
Just one sentence.
It's okay. You got it.
Mama D's night.
Alright, you can pass it. You can pass it and then come back. You wanna come back this way again?
When you're ready to say, when you're ready to talk, just talk, all right?
I'm new to the family, but I love you, Mama D, and I love what you're doing here, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Mama D, I love you so much. What you've done here with our lives, and like just everything, like this organization, this family that we have here is so special and so unique, and you really inspire us to really be better people, you know, and just take time to really value whether it's like just being in each other's presence and like being everybody's champion. Like a lot of people don't have that, you know, and like it's truly a blessing that all of us do, you know, and that we're able to share that out, that light that you have, you know, you can kindle that and just spread it all over the world. Like that's something that I'm so thankful for, you know, like this organization, it's a deep love for. I'm just so thankful, you know, like when I didn't have a lot, I knew I had this, you know, and I had a place I can go to, and, you know, I'm just so thankful, so thankful, and I love you so much, so much. There's so many words, like the fact that like we have this kind of space and like we have someone like you behind us, like that in itself it's mind blowing. It's really mind blowing. Like an organization like this, you know, like it's not like a boys and girls club or a rec center. You know, like you can literally do anything here, you know, and I'm just so thankful to be part of it.
Come on, yeah, definitely. Before we take over, we're gonna let you all have it.
Let's make sure we get it to Dre too.
Oh, don't worry, we don't.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Okay, director,
Okay.
producer.
Just coming from a parent, I do appreciate you opening up the doors for all the youth and just the opportunities that you give these kids, you know, from the garden, from the poetry labs, from the music, you know, that just gives them an opportunity to work on their craft, you know, and have a space to come in, like you said, be themselves. And I enjoy it because, you know, the Hamlet and something in the water and just, you know, the different colleges you visit. It's just a great community environment and space for kids, and I appreciate what you're doing, and I love it. It's awesome. I will travel from Newport News over here whenever I can to get so she can be included in anything.
Okay, well, I guess we're rolling around to the end of the table. You know that, right? Well, Deidra, I came up on knowing you about 4 or 5 years ago, and you do something amazing to the for the community, and that's the most important thing, that you install your heart into the community. I had an issue where my son was having problems, and I brought it for Deidra for a brief moment, and just that brief moment, it changed his life. So you'd be surprised how you can meet a person one time, and it changes the whole direction of your life. Counsel is everything. Y'all remember that. Like, remember that in life as y'all go through life, as y'all gather elderness. Counsel is everything. When you can meet someone, and it don't have to be that you go sit down in a chair, or you have to go make an appointment at a doctor. You just meet someone with a smile on their face that's got something good that freshens your heart, and that's counsel. Remember that in your mind. Counsel means everything. If you can be counseled, then life can be better for you. And Deidra, you have been a root in our community. And I chose today to let my last Christmas go out giving my homage to a woman of your dignity and your pride. This is something I want to have our life to do, because we don't do this in our community. So hands down, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Neil Carter, which is the producer of the show. And it's your showtime, girl. It's your night. It's Deidra's night. Deidra loves night. I call this love and Christmas. So this is what we got tonight going on, Love and Christmas.
No, I gotta bring the mic to you.
You didn't look, I was like, that's my man. Hi, Mom. Echoing all the things that the young people said, but one of the, I feel like one of the biggest lessons that I've learned from you is to, like, you never really put a cap or a limit on anything, and like you've always like just supported me whatever it is that I wanted to do, like just allowed me to like learn, like grow, like fail, come back from that, try something new, and I don't know, that's been one of the biggest things that stuck with me. Like I don't really see a lot of limits now. Like there's challenges to get to like wherever it is that we're trying to go, but there's no limits and there's always possibility. And that's something that I've been trying to give to our families, because I feel like that is so important. Like I love you from the bottom of my heart. Like I feel like you made a pretty awesome young man. You know, for real. And it's just grateful. I'm grateful to have like somebody so supportive, there's somebody so inspiring, somebody so powerful in the community, and you help me to get on this path that I'm on now. And I hope that when the time comes and we transition, and I take off where. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? When you pass the baton, like I'm like, yeah. And I really hope that I make you proud. I hope all of y'all that. I don't know. Like I'll never be you, and like that's not what I'm out here to be. But I hope that I can continue the legacy of what TWP is, and I hope that I can continue to inspire more young people and like to just grow up. That's what I'm talking about, player. What kind of fell? Yeah, and I don't know. I'm really grateful, like just to be in the presence all the time, just to learn from you each and every day, from the little conversations to the long ones. And you know, you know how it goes. You know how it goes. And I don't know. It's just a beautiful thing, and that's why we wanted to surprise you, like. Because I know people see online, we talked about being nervous about the interview, blah 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 blah. But this, to me, this is foundation. This is where it starts. It always starts with the young people, and you've always instilled that in me to always think about legacy and love without limit. So I appreciate you. I love you without limits. You feel me? Thanks, Marty.
We do have one more thing. Joe would like to, we got a little thing, something we'd like to present you before. Oh, okay. Well, I guess everyone, it's just amazing when you can put so many people in the room. Oh no, I'm gonna call you up, baby. Don't worry, I got you.
Oh, I thought you just said.
Well, without any further ado, I would like to introduce Miss Deidra Love, everybody. Give it up. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So we gonna sit right here. Just light out your face. And so, would you like to do it now, or you want?
Yeah, we can do it now.
Okay.
Mama D, this is just for you. This is something that we want you to know from Happy Hour Live and from TWP. There's nothing like love in a rose.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Can I open it?
You can open it, yes.
So y'all can see how beautiful this is. I'm gonna rip it up now.
Have fun.
Thank you so much. That's so special.
And so, yeah, we're gonna get some pictures too. But if you would, I guess this is now your time to, I guess, rebuttal. Your rebuttal time.
Thanks, guys. You know I love each and every one of you. Every time I heard the beautiful, wonderful things that you all said about me that I know came from your heart, I kept thinking the other side to that is what you give to me, that I just give it right back to you in another way. And so everything that you all have said that you have thus far experienced through your relationship with me and the stuff that we do in our organization, it's a we thing. Honestly, when Tiffany talked about coming into the office, sitting in the green chair for counsel,
Yeah,
real talk,
Yeah,
it goes two ways. I'm like, Tiffany will walk in, Tiffany, oh, sit down. Then I'll tell her this amazing, wonderful thing, and then we would sit there and process it out and figure out what's next steps, who are we gonna involve, how are we gonna do this, you know? So when Malik talked about every teenager that comes in that, you know, the cut up or whatever the situation is, how I would put it back to you like, okay, so we fail if he fails, so what are y'all gonna do about it? And kind of like walk away, but everybody knew there was no way I was gonna walk away from it, but I would put the challenge back on you all to say, like, this is our community, this is our family. I'm Mama D, but, you know, I'm not the only one holding this down. So
Great leadership.
it would never work if I said that to you and you said, well, I can't do that, or you're gonna have to handle that, you're the adult in the room, anything like that would, you know, it never, what we have built would never have happened if the response repeatedly, even in frustration. I mean, I've known times when y'all would like convene, we gotta convince her, so-and-so's gotta go, and it'd come back and I'd be like, then we fail. We gotta try something else. But other people would say, yo, that's your problem, and walk out the door. But you guys are amazing. I have nothing to give you that you haven't given to me back, you know? Everything, it's an exchange. We talk about, imagine you talked about the safe space that's created. And I remind people that that word is just a word. The reality of it is the energy of the people that walk into the space every day you created. If we walk in all jacked up, not offering love, don't feel like being there, not holding it down, not lifting people up, guess what? It's not a safe space. We could say it to forever, and I can't walk in and go like this and sprinkle stuff and make it that. I can come in with my love and everything that I have, but trust and believe, if it isn't going back and forth like that, it wouldn't exist. And I know Zanaya has not spoken yet, but you're someone that I watch go from silent to whispering to stepping up and really empowering other people. Yeah. And people think that what we do is built solely around the arts, and sometimes organizations will come and say, oh, can you send a poet, or can y'all perform at this or that? And I'm like, the big picture, art is the foundation. Art is the way we express ourselves. I mean, it's our culture. It's in our DNA, so we have no choice but to be art. But there's art that people miss. And Zanaya is art in life. Like, you know, and people miss that. But at TWP, we're just not missing it because it's like critically who we are. And Andre, when you talk about the legacy and carrying it, you will never have to carry it alone because Ameka, Imagine, Tiffany, Malik. You know what I'm saying?
The world character.
Yeah, but I mean, as an organization and what we have built together, it will never fall it has never fallen solely on my shoulders. It would never fall solely on your shoulders. We built a community of love, and there's so many young people that have come up through this and get it and leave, go to college or go in life, wherever they go, and come back and give. So you got like shoulder to shoulder and people that, you know, even Karen, like she walked in, she gets it, she showed up, she's here. So it has never been me alone carrying it. It has always been, if I thought that I was doing it alone, I could not have done this. I always knew that this was something we were doing together. Some of you don't know this, but like in our early days, it was just me as the only adult. It was me. I wasn't Mama D then. I think I was Miss D. I don't know what they called me back then. But anyway, before I was Mama D, it was me and it was our young people. Mecca is close to the beginning of that stage. And so in those days, we would do everything that you guys do in much smaller spaces, no beautiful center and none of that. Wherever
Blind library.
Yeah, blind library, behind some curtain. We were eating some kind of food that I had to beg the teenagers, eat your dinner. And I was like, okay, you don't have to eat your dinner. It was not what we experience now. But in the beginning, when we were that little thing and it would have seemed like it was just, you know, me as the adult and them, there was no young adults. There was no Andre and Emeka and Malik to help you all. It was just me and y'all. Imagine that day. So if we went to do something and y'all had to get up on the stage or this or that and how you have all of that support, I could not do that. Like, all I could do was prepare you for it, support you while you up there. You could look to me for reinforcement and whatever, you know, everything that I could offer. But young people were doing it, so I never did it by myself. Like I mean, I might have known all the lines, everything you were gonna say or was supposed to say, and you know what I'm saying? I could do all of that, but I never, in those days, there was no young adult. There was nobody that could stand in front of you, beside you. We did that offline, but get up there, take the mic, lead the thing, host the thing, do the workshop, do the everything. It was no Shauna, it was none of that. And young people did it. So I say that to say, I never had the weight of like doing it by myself, because I always did it all right beside a young person. So you guys are powerful beyond your wildest dreams. That's how powerful you are. I remember lots of times like Malik wanting the half-acre lot to be converted and things that you all said you wanted over the years, and I would say I would go in and get it in a way. I would make sure the city would listen to what you wanted. I would make sure I could lift up the gate so y'all could go under and do what you had to do. But I didn't have to go under the fence. I just would hold it up for you. Oh, I would say, I remember one time the city helped fund our Fuse Fest, and we had a teen forum, and the city funded it, and it was like teens gather, and we have workshops, and we have workshops for parents, and it had evolved to the point that we were at the Addicts Theater, and they had a multimedia production, and it was fabulous, and we had done it a few years, and I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And then one year, that was Kenya's year, if anybody remembers Kenya. And we were planning for the next this huge magic. I mean, they had like part of it was on screen, part of it was live. The story was all written by them. It was fantastic.
No holding back.
Yes, no holding back. And Kenya's like, so we're in the meeting. Everybody's like, well, let's plan the event for this year. And Kenya's like, well, I think we should have a block party. And I'm like, no, what? Like, that's not, you know, how's that, you know, and I gave him all the list of, well, it has to empower young people, and it has to do, you know, it had the list of things, and I'm like, that is, you know, I was done. I'm like, no, y'all are up here, and you want to do a block party? So I was like, okay, well, it's peer-led, so I have to take this to the funders. So y'all figure out how your block party that I didn't want you to do, how's your block party going to accomplish all of this stuff? And it turned out to Fuse Fest. Focus on spirit, entertainment. What is it?
Focus on unity, spirit, and
entertainment. And it was like, yeah. So like they did the thing. They did the thing. I was like, no, I'm not even asking them.
I do Fuse Fest every year, right?
Every year, over 1,000 people. Like, yeah. So, like, you know, I'm not going to say I'm one of those people that says, oh, yes, whatever you want, honey. If it doesn't make sense to me, and if I don't think I can sell it, or if I think we're watering down something we do, I definitely push back. Y'all know I will, how is that going to work? Whatever. Let me hear more. No, that sounds crazy. But at the end of the day, if it's something that you want, like, I will go fight for it. But also at the end of the day, I don't host Fuse Fest. I don't perform on the stage. I don't bring the, you know, I bring the partnerships and other things.
But you better be ready.
I don't bring y'all bring the life.
You better be ready.
Yeah, so I'm just really grateful that I get the opportunity to, this is what I do with my life. This is not a job or anything like that. This is what I do with my life. I walked away from corporate America and left my salary and left everything that came with that. Wobbly knees, out the door, into this. Legit, I never looked back. I have zero regrets. It's a chance to live my best life, and there's no, like I dream about the next thing. I never, is the air that I breathe, and the biggest thing that I would like for us is that everything that you all could say that Mama D and Teens with a Purpose gave to you, that you give it away. I promise you, that's how we grew. We never held anything back. We just give it away. And I guarantee you, if you give it away, you're going to get so much more for sure. Yeah. So that's my whole sermon. And my arm is tired, so I'm done. Thank you.
Now you touched on a lot of different points that I was gonna hit. So I only got a few questions. We'll ask. You kind of said you left corporate America to kind of pursue your dream, and I want to know like what influenced you to, what different elements had to come into play for you to say, okay, this is what I want to do, and I need to do it right now.
So, just really quick, when all of this started was 1996, and it started a long time ago. A lot of them weren't even here yet. So, but it was an AIDS ministry, and the reason that I was the youth coordinator for the AIDS piece, it was a big AIDS ministry, and there was a youth piece and an adult piece, and I coordinated the youth piece. And the reason, I have to go back to this to get to answer your question. And the reason that I joined and decided to do that work was because as a teenager and then as a young adult growing up in New York, that was the AIDS pandemic hit, and our community was really devastated. And my my best friend and my cousin, who we did everything together, like everything. He was like my brother's sister. Stephen had gotten infected with HIV, and we did it. We were teenagers. We didn't know. It wasn't like now, all this education. We didn't know a lot, and I couldn't help a lot. And like, I remember him visiting, like he would spend the night with me, and we would sleep in the same bed, and we would stay up all night, like best friends do, talking about everything that happened in life. And people would tell me, well, he has AIDS. If he sweats on you, you're going to get infected. It was lack of knowledge. It wasn't really, I don't call it stupidity. The information wasn't readily available, so people in the beginning days just didn't know. I was a teenager. I just didn't know. He didn't even know. So, you know, I wasn't mad at anybody for that, but we would like look in each other's eyes and be like, what do we do? Is this, you know, is this real? Or, you know, so he started learning more about what he was living through. But I never was able to help him. I felt so much of his pain that it was pathetic. Well, y'all know how much I cried. Stephen would be sick and hurt, and I would be crying worse than he was. Stephen would, whatever he was feeling, and I was more. So I felt like I wasn't no comfort for him, because I felt like it was my pain, and I didn't know how to do anything for him. And so I have to say this. Imagine, you might be able to imagine this, was when Stephen was going, he was in the hospital, and he was all about, like, everything had to be right, the jewelry, the fashion, and everything. And so was I, because, you know, I'm going to talk about that. But anyway, so I'm in his room at the hospital, and I had on a fabulous outfit. And he couldn't speak or anything, and just his eyes, he was just like, girl, like all over it. But you know, that was all he had at that moment. But I like felt that energy, like he was loving life through seeing my beautiful, I don't know, the same color silk thing that was fabulous back then. Anyway,
working girl, working.
So yeah, so when Stephen left, like as a young woman, I felt like kind of more than lost, like worthless, because I loved him so much and I couldn't do anything. So when I had the opportunity to be the coordinator for their AIDS ministry, as you know, pretty young adult, still pretty young, a pretty young adult that could really relate, that could really still relate to young people. And I knew inside of a church that I would bring something far more, like knew it needed to be relatable. I knew everything that Stephen didn't have. Like, young people need to be able to talk about this. We need to be doing it in a language, in a way that is relatable to them. The message has to get out. So 1996, that's when it started. Then in 2007, for years and years and years of doing the work, the young people in the church, that was Emeka and Andre, and some others. Marv P was back in those days, though he don't want to admit it. But I taught them about HIV education and prevention, and then they younged it up with poetry and music, and we did some amazing work, like all over the place. And then the funds went away for that, and that was the moment that I had to make a decision, because the young people still wanted to keep doing it. I was totally committed to the work we were doing, but I had to, one, find funds to do it, which I did. I became a subcontractor on a grant, but by becoming the subcontractor, I was the one who worked with the teams, but now I had all the paperwork, everything else that goes with being a subcontractor, reports and all of that, plus my corporate job. So that was the moment. Was like, you can't do both.
Right, yeah, we can't be one foot in, one foot out.
Right,
Yeah.
I couldn't do both, because it was more than a full time here.
So two
full-time
full
there.
times.
Two full-times plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were like weekends, it was,
That's crazy.
it was crazy. So that was the moment. And then, like, yeah. And I told my boss, I was like, this is what I'm thinking. And they treated it like it was retirement. And, like, they've been funding Teens with a Purpose since the day I left. They were like, you really going to do this? You really going to walk out on all of that? And I'm like, yeah. And they've treated, you know, they gave me, like, a bag of money to go. And then they support the organization every year. And, yeah, so I didn't look back.
Wow, that's
Amazing,
amazing.
yo. That's amazing.
Thing that popped in my head, I guess I'm at a crossroads where it's like, you know, I make enough to where I can take care of myself, but it's like I want to do something that like fulfills me a little bit more, do something, but I guess my biggest issue, of course, is that like financial security, like, you know, not really me being worried if I quit my job to do something I care more about, which I don't necessarily know exactly what that is yet. What, you know, how will I be able to support myself? So how did you, like, I know you say your job helped you out and you had other subcontracts and stuff like that. So how else did you kind of like stay afloat until like money really started coming in?
Well, I have a best friend. His name is Al Roker. He's on our board. He stayed on our board, so he definitely, you know, he was like, a matter of fact, when I was like vacillating about what to do, and he was like, D, you've been talking, because he was like, he's been my best friend forever, so he's like, you've been doing this for how long? You're always talking about this. You need to go ahead and do it. I'll help you. I'll be on the board. You just, you know, like, because I was like, what should I do? And he was like, what should you do? You should do it. And so I'm trying to think, did I have an office? But I had a little tiny space. I had just me. I had the subcontractor. I had Al, who he didn't put a lot of money in it at first, but he let me know he was there. So you know what I mean? So that fear that of failing, right, wasn't there. But I think he wanted to see what I was going to do. Right. And I went out and sold it. I sold it. I put a lot of the money that I had initially went into the organization, so I didn't have very much, but I believed. And I remember early on going to Parks and Rec. We had a $2,500 grant, not the subcontractor money. I think that was like $40,000. That is, you know, to run an organization, that's nothing. But that was $40,000 for the year, and then we had a $2,500 grant to do Choose Respect, and we had to impact 200 people. And I got that. I asked Parks and Rec, could we do our program at rec centers? And that was like, you know, we had to impact 200 people and to get our money from the state. And they said, sure you can. So we went and we did it. It was like amazing. We had a whole band. We toured all these different places. The young people, oh my God, it was so amazing, y'all. You could not imagine. Like, it was so turned up. And so instead of 200 people, it was 700 people that we impacted. Instead of just teenagers, it was teenagers and their parents. And then I went to Parks and Rec and I said, well, will you let us do a summer camp? And I did a whole proposal with all the costs. And I went to the boss and I showed him everything. And I was like, we did all of this great stuff. We exceeded expectations, da-da-da. And he was like, oh, that's really nice, Deidra. And if you can come up with the funds, you can do that. But something changed in city government and they needed a program for teens because they didn't have one at that time. And they needed it now. And he came back to me and said about that summer camp. And we did the first summer camp at the center that we're at now. And at the end of the summer, the assistant director said to Michelle, do you think that Deidra will want to stay? And y'all know I'm a crier, so I was just, when she told me, I was just boo-hooing. And we never left that building from that moment on. So I'm saying to you, when you just really believe and you just, you take a lot of risks, but you put everything into it, like how I said I slept it and I dreamt it and I just did, $2,500, that was all it was. But we did that program probably was worth, I don't know, probably $10,000 was probably what it was worth, but we did it. They gave us $2,500 to do that. And I can't even tell you the number of things that when an opportunity would come and I would take teenagers and they would be in trainings with adults to do the work adults are doing, but they would put the arts on it, but they had to get the training, they got the certification, and we went out and did the thing. So you just believe if it's really what you believe. And people talk about passion, it's way more than passion. It is really something that is important, that has to happen, and that you have to believe that you could do it. Passion alone will not get you what you need. You have to believe in it and be willing to put in the work and trust,
So, well, I guess I'll take I got some time because I don't have it all together of I don't know, we'll talk afterward. But I guess, let's see. We got all these young teens in here. Let's, just for the people at home, just I guess let them know exactly for those that have never heard of Teens with a Purpose, just what you all exactly do for the teens and things of that nature.
Okay. Our official mission, our little sentence of what our mission is, it is teens creatively cultivating the next generation of leaders. Yeah, that's the abridged version, and it starts with teens because it's a peer-led program. But the mission statement is something like to empower young people to use their voice, creativity, reflection, and action to affect personal change and to positively impact their peers, their community, and ultimately the world through the arts and peer-led programs and events. So, so it's not just art, but it's to really be creative, but also be reflective. Like if you listen to their poems and whatnot, there's no surface stuff happening here. There is a surface situation, but it's, dig deep, go all the way, what caused it, why, all the way, and then take the poem and go someplace and impact it. Like Malik and Tiffany, they recently, they put two poems together. They did a collaboration and they performed their poem around global warming. And there's a national documentary that's being created around that. Yeah. A few years ago, we went into a detention center. We did a workshop with youth that were incarcerated about reimagining high school, the high school that would have helped prevent them being there. We took their words and we took their words out, created a poem. We included that in a national project, Reimagining High School, Rethink High School, and a national documentary was done with that young person's poems they wrote. We did it so I'm saying all that to say it's creativity, reflection, and action. So we won't be who we say we are if we just do art and don't put it to work. There's countless things that we have done where we do art and put it to work. Like our garden is an art space. Our garden is a half an acre lot where we feed hundreds, if not more, people through the food that's in there. But if you go there, you'll see paintings of
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's
Paintings
beautiful.
is
It's a ride
art
every day.
all around it. It looks like us. It doesn't look like Parks and Recs or anybody else
No,
made
that's-
that. You can see the
that's TWP right
community.
there.
You can see the young people. Tiffany's mural is over there. That was at Something in the Water. It is that kind of thing. So the art is creating a change in the environment. Like the community now will come and pick dinner. Like at first when we did it, that people had to catch on that the food was really to share. So they would like take everything, and now you see people will get their tomato and their cucumber and their lettuce and go on home to leave it for other people. Or you'll see grasshoppers and all different kinds of birds that weren't here because we planted wildflowers, like changing the environment and making a beautiful haven for our community. So we use the art to affect change. This is my last story. I got to tell this story. So inside of that garden, inside of the Safe Creative Space, one day we were gardening, and this lady pulled up on the lot, probably around your age, driving a car. She had all this stuff piled up in the back. And she says, do you guys, and some of the teenagers were with me, and she said, do you guys take care of this garden? And I'm like, yeah. And she said, oh, I'm so glad that I get to see you because I lost my job, and for 3 months, the only food I had to eat was what you grew in this garden. She was like, I was a forced vegetarian, and she made a joke about it, but she lived in Calvert, community that's right on the other side of us, and she said, yeah, I got a job and I'm moving out of town and my life is really turned around, but I was really glad to see you. And she asked me, was there anything she could do? And I said, just pay it forward. And she said, I already have. So, you know, that's the idea behind this. There's a dozen stories like that, but that's, you know.
And then you never know like what type of person like you say you wouldn't, if you guys happen to be out there when she rolled by, and you know, you never know the type of people you affect. So that, I mean, the fact that you all do that and so much more is amazing. I really could have used something like that when I was younger. And I just think it's amazing. If I had kids, they would be all up in it, regardless whether I felt like they needed it or not. I think it's something that any youth, especially someone that's interested in arts or someone that's trying to do something in the community or do something creative, I mean, what you guys do is, one, is not being done nearly enough around the world, and it's just something that, I mean, like I said, just seeing you guys all out here coming together and seeing you guys all have, I know each one of you guys have different talents and stuff like that, but you could just feel it. You could just feel the energy. Like you guys it's something special. And I believe it starts with you, and I think it's just amazing, like what you've done for everyone and what you will continue to do. So I'm really glad that like I've gotten to know you, and I hopefully can continue to get to know you and maybe pick your brain a little bit. Is there anything that you guys got going on in the future? Any announcements or anything like that?
I want to bring something up to Deidra, right?
Okay. Come to the mic.
The young lady that owned this restaurant, and I brought this up to Andre, and I've also mentioned this to you guys, right? So we all know that the youth is out here, right? So it's time to do something about bullying. It's really time for us to stand up and do something about bullying. So I'm challenging TWP as an organization, because I'm doing it with me and Neil and a couple of other people, but let's do something about bullying together. And Deidra came to me and said, like, let's do this at the art center, like, let's take what you guys are doing. It's wide open. Whatever y'all want to do with it. You guys build up what y'all want to do. Y'all come and tell us we're going to do exactly what y'all want to do. It's y'all platform, how y'all want to do the show. But I'm giving y'all a show that y'all can do on bullying. Like, we can change the world. Let's do it together. Challenge made? Challenge made?
She puts it on y'all. Y'all the leaders.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
So yeah, bullying and any other, and you know, I just been a little while since I've been in school and stuff like that. And, you know, Joe, it's been a little while too. So you know, anything the bullying, but also I'm sure there are new problems that maybe you guys are going through that we haven't faced yet. So, you know, feel free to include all that in there. We'll figure out a way to, like, you know, get it all going. But I know y'all are bright, so I'm excited to see what y'all got coming up.
We'll do it at the center. We'll broadcast this all at the center. We're not here. We'll do it in your home. We'll take it to you guys.
So yeah, we can do it however you guys want to do it. I'll make sure that my contact information is left with you guys, so y'all can reach out to me about any ideas when you guys formulate like a general basis, and I'll work with you guys on how we can implement it all together and get the show going. So that should be exciting. That should be really exciting. And so thank you so much, Miss Deidra, for coming out. And like I said, thank you so much. Thank you guys all for coming out. Thank you guys.
Wait. You asked if there was anything coming up. No, I'm calling somebody up to the microphone. Andre, can you come up and add it? What is coming up? What's coming up?
Yes, definitely.
Well, let us know
What's
now.
on the address?
Well, the new year is coming up, and we have slams are coming up.
Yeah.
Oh snap! That's
Mics are coming up.
soundtrack too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of stuff coming in the new year. Am I talking to y'all? Hey, what's up? How y'all doing? We ain't heard a lot from y'all tonight. I'm funny. But for real. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming in the new year. We're bringing back Vibes Open Mic. So that's pretty lit. You know what I'm saying? A teen-led open mic. And it's going to be super dope and super awesome. You know, you can share your poems, your words. You know what I'm saying? It's just like a dope space to chill out. She also mentioned slam season. You know what I'm saying? So if you happen to be a writer, you happen to be a little slick with the pen, you happen to be able to, you know, throw some bars on a piece of paper and say it verbally. I don't know how else you'd say it. But yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like a super dope space. It's kind of a competition, but it's just a fun time and a platform to express yourself and to share your work. And we get to contribute to something greater, which is the HRYP team. And it's super dope. And we go like all over the region and all over the country and do great things and share our work. And it's like an amazing experience. And like me and Tiff and Malik and Dre are all HRYP alum, and we can all speak to like how dope that experience is, right? Like it's amazing. Yeah. What else we got, Dre?
7517 Connect. We have 7517 Connect. Oh snap, that was cool. Every Saturday.
At 1350 AM radio.
At 1350 AM radio, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's a teen-led radio show. Soon to be coming to NPR. We're just gonna go ahead and speak it into existence. You know what I'm saying? But yes, I can. But yeah, so that's pretty. We got that and a whole lot more coming up. So yeah.
Stay tuned.
Like I said, I'm excited.
Rich is a member of the Happy Hour Live team now too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, by the way, so with Happy Hour Live, this is our newest member, Mr. Testimony right here. I know him as Testimony. This is Richard right here, Richard Love. So I appreciate you coming on board. Not yet. We get him a t-shirt. We're gonna do a whole little photo shoot and all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Pose for the camera.
But yeah, so I'm pretty sure I'll be I know for a fact I'll be seeing you guys again. Like I said, we're gonna work on this bullying show. Which I don't know who's gonna lead it, but I'll leave y'all my contact information, and we'll go back and forth on how we can get it to where it's the way y'all imagine it. And look, you like what I did?
I did.
And yeah, so like I said, keep doing what y'all doing. Like I said, I don't know where I can help you guys with, but if y'all are interested, I know you said you host and you do stuff like that. So if y'all see anything that we're doing that maybe you feel like you could play a role in or anything like that, or just anything that maybe we can help you guys out with, let us know, and please reach